I have been having a lot of fun with Suno 3.5, and I wanted to go over with you some of the things that I have found to help you in making your songs better. First off, this version 3.5 says it's got some wonderful improvements to the prompts, how those work, and the accuracies. I also want to go over some errors that are absolutely hysterical. One of the things you can do is you can upload your own audio. I'm not going to be doing that today. We're going to do that on a different video later on. Today we're going to focus in on the prompts and on the additional length you get on a song. They're now up to 4 minutes for this first run through on a song, which is plenty of time. Unless you want to do an extended Queen version of a song that is 8 minutes long, you can also add your extensions onto it if you need to. But in some of the fooling around I've done with it, it's not really necessary. So let's talk about these prompts and what it can do, what it was doing before, what it's doing now. On previous versions, we ran into a number of errors and issues with it not really recognizing the types of things you could put into a song and what you wanted it to do. It kind of do its own thing a lot of the times. So I've noticed a lot of really interesting additions to this. I'm going to bring over some of my notes. When you're looking at this and you're adding in your song descriptions, your meta tags, all those kind of things, it now pays a lot better attention to those. I want to go through some of the prompts that I've been using so you can use these same things on yours, show you what I've been getting on a new song I've been working on. I've also had some questions from a number of you who followed from my last video on things you're trying to do, and I can say that you can make some improvements. You can correct some errors now that you have on the songs by using the extension. So I'm going to show you how that worked as well. First, let's talk about some of these prompts. I'm going to show you how we entered those in. When we're looking at style of music, the topics of music, you can add those things into there and just have it generate a song for you. Obviously, it's going to be super random. So if you want something very specific, which is what I'm doing with a song here today, write out your lyrics and focus in on the meter of your lyrics, of how the rhythm goes with each of the lines. That's going to help you out tremendously. So we're going to look at the style of music, the topic, and then these meta tags, which are going to be really, really important. Intro, verses, pre-chorus, chorus, refrains, bridges, outros, ends, those types of things. But what's really wonderful is this thing is a lot better now at the additional descriptions that you're going to add to the video. This is what you put in if you're going to do backgrounds for singers. I didn't use that on this version, but I have used it in the past. Works really well. When you're adding in things like happy verses, sad verses, something I did on this one is I did an a cappella bridge, and it sort of worked. Not only did it that, but partway through it, I gave it another instruction, went from just an a cappella bridge to I wanted to bring back in the drums and the instruments. And so I'll show you where we added that, and it actually did a pretty good job of it. So there's a bunch of different things that you can use, and you should experiment with the different prompts you can add in, where you want to add the prompts in. One of the questions I got was someone was trying to drop out the music, bring out the drums, the bass, whatever else, and bring it back in later on. And that's something we tested with this, and it does work okay. Another thing that was really interesting is time signatures. Now, if you have some familiarity with music or you're an advanced musician, one of the things you can do on this is you can add in time signatures, you can add in beats per minute. And I experimented with that, and it seems to work. So let's get started on this. Let's look back at some of the stuff that I was working on here. I've got a new song called the Anthem for Generation X, and it's kind of a fun, funny little silly song that we're going to throw up on TikTok. So first thing is, these are always going to be customs. We're going to go with the custom version of this stuff, right? So we can add in the things that we want to add into this. We're going to look at our lyrics. We're going to drop those in and show you how we did with those, and then adding in the style of music. Now for this one, I wanted to do an 80s style rock. Big drums, arena rock, that kind of thing. So what we entered in was 80s style rock, big drums, arena rock sound, and this helped us out greatly. So then we added in our lyrics, which I'm going to throw these in so you can kind of see the order of how this goes and what we ended up being able to generate from that. So let's go into, let's grab this, and I'm just grabbing out our lyrics. Here's our lyrics. So here's what we started with. I wanted to do something that was going to have drums, heavy instrumental intro, this arena rock kind of sound and not just start with a verse. And this worked extremely well. Heavy drums, instrumental intro, verses. Now, the first version that I played on this, I messed up a couple of the words. I had misspelled a few things, and so I wanted to go back and correct it. But I'm going to show you first what we did with this first version with it before it got corrected.
We'd leave the house at dawn, latchkey in our hand, like feral cats we wandered, feeding off the land, at school we ducked and cove.
So here's our error. Error at X school, we ducked and covered was what I was trying to put in there. Made an error with that, and so what I ended up doing was going back in and trying a correction through an extension, because I like the version of this. This was, I think, the second version that I generated, and I really like the feel of this one. So I want to say, okay, can we take this and use a correction at that point at verse and add it in? Now, the problem is the corrections are only going to give you 2 minutes. So what you've got to do is use them as an insert. Take that correction, use it as an insert in another piece of software, and I would love it if they would add this to Suno, where you could take bits and pieces of songs, edit them right within this software, because that would be so much more helpful. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking it out to DaVinci or in another audio software like Pro Tools and put the pieces in together there to form one song, because I can't take the bits and pieces here. But I'll show you what we did with the correction. So this is the correction. Taking out after this first verse, feeding out the land, at school we ducked and covered, is what I wanted, and here's what we did.
At school we ducked and covered to keep safe from the bomb. We'd skip school when we wanted, fake letters from our mom.
So this is the same. It's the same song. It's got that same tune. It kept the chorus the same. Everything else is the same. So I can grab this now that it's a correction and throw it into the original one that I like better, which I liked this full song better. So I can cover that mistake.
St. Helens left us shaken, Columbia left us numb. Our parents left us to ourselves, our teachers thought us dumb. We asked around and found out that no one really cared.
All right, so this did a great job on setting up the song, on making variations of this, and it did a great job with all the verses. So you can see we've got quite a number of verses. We've got our heavy drums, instrumental, verse, 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 chorus, more verses, chorus, bridge, and all that worked really, really well. Let's forward into the bridge area
Found
here.
out that no one really cared, so we kept the hardship to ourselves, cause no one's life is fair. This is the effing anthem.
And as you can see, spelling out effing works fantastic. Looked at this phonetically. I obviously wanted F-U-C-K to round and out, but I wanted to make this playable on TikTok and other places. So EFF is great for F around and find out. And then it gave this bizarre gap. So I've had a few of these weird errors with these songs on version 3.5, and what I'm going to do is going to cut this stuff out. Again, within the software, putting in the corrections that I needed, pulling out these gaps that I didn't think worked as well. We're going to pull those areas out. We made up some really, really other interesting versions of this song and extensions that came from them. Again, all of this stuff is coming off of these basic prompts. Pulling this back in, looking at our intros, choruses, refrains, all the stuff you can fool around with and try for yourself. And these extra descriptions were really, really great. Now, one of the areas that we did this with is an extension that I wanted to do on one version that I liked. So I liked this version of the song as well. I thought this had a really great beat to it. And I love what they did with the chorus on this as well. And this one I put my corrections into. So where I had errors previously on A School We Ducked and Covered, I corrected it before generating this new version.
Latchkey in our hand, like feral cats we wandered, feeding off the land. At school we ducked and covered to keep safe from the bomb. We skipped school when we wanted, fake letters from our
Really like what they do with the chorus here.
We asked around and found out that no one really cared, so we kept the hardship to ourselves, cause no one's life is fair. This is the
So I really liked what this song did after the chorus is going into these bridges. I liked the way that it ended. This is how we finished this song out.
No one really cared, so we kept the hardship to ourselves, 'cause no one's life is fair. This is the anthem of Generation X. F around and find out just what is coming next.
I like this little instrumental, and then I decided let's add into this an a cappella version of the bridge and back into the chorus again. So this is where it got interesting, because here's where we made, let's see, here's our corrections. This is the extension. And this was the first of some really, really interesting errors that it did. So here's where it's trying to do this a cappella version. Now here's the exact prompt that I added into this, because let's get this saved here. All right, here's what this looked like. Copy this into our lyrics. All right, so here's what we did. Adding in a cappella bridge. And then partway through this, now this is where you can add back in drums, right? So I wanted this first part, a cappella, I wanted to add back in the drums as it's finishing up, and this worked, sort of. We did get some really bizarre errors, which I'm going to show you right now, and but there is a bit of this that works so that I can take this out, put it into other software, and edit it together. We still can't stitch it together the way I'd like to within the software, but here's one of the errors we got first time we ran this.
2, 3, 2, 4. I'll pick around and wrap around, I found out that no one really.
I have no idea what the hell it is. That's hysterical. What's really interesting is you would think with AI that this is what it would do all the time. How the hell it puts these things together with good rhythms, good mixes, and all the rest is beyond me. But this was really funny. So then here's the other version we did. And again, real bizarre at this part. But then it comes back in, and it might be enough that I can stitch it together.
Now we've got graying hair. No, we're not a sociopath. It's just that we don't care.
So that's really nice. Now the first part is pretty messed up, but when it gets into the a cappella part,
our heroes didn't age
so this I can stitch in.
Now we've got
well, actually, what we can do is we can take this first part. So I like that little blop. Get into our heroes part. Edit this in together.
Now we've got graying hair. No, we're not a sociopath.
And I like what they do with the drums.
It's just that we don't care. We asked around and found out that no one really cared. So we kept the hardship to ourselves, 'cause no one's life is fair.
That one worked out really well. We've also got this one, which I think is really hysterical. Suno 3.5, I love you. That's amazing. I mean,
we're not a sociopath. It's just that we don't care. We asked around and found.
So that one did it again too. So it has this weird error at the beginning of this thing, but then it cleans it up, and I think I can still stitch it together with the version of the song that I like.
Our heroes didn't age so well. Now we got graying hair. We're not a sociopath. It's just that we don't care.
So this is fantastic. The fact that you can drop this stuff in the middle of your words, adding drums, putting in instrumentals, and whatever else. Version 3.5, while it's got some issues, is doing a lot better job at paying attention to the prompts you put in. And if you've paid attention to the rhythm in your words, it helps out tremendously. Now, one of the early versions that I did, some of the rhythm was not working out as well as I'd wanted to. So I had to go back in, make some corrections to the versions that we're running now, and it helped out a lot in the rhythm and the beats that it's hitting. If you're not hitting what it thinks it needs to, if you don't have enough lines for the verses, enough lines for the chorus, sometimes it'll try to throw something else in there. It'll try and repeat one of your other lines. And it did that with a couple of these, and I don't remember which one it did that. There's another version. It's a lot of really cool versions of this. Might have been one that had the errors on it. A couple of these. Yeah, so this is one where it started reworking stuff because it didn't like that I had verse, 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 chorus. It thought it needed a fourth verse, so it did it on its own. It went off from what I did, took verse 3, made a verse 4 out of part of the chorus, threw in some extra lines, then came back and tried to do the chorus again. So depending on how it thinks it needs to be structured, it may shift around your words, and you may just have to try a couple words. And now, I don't know. If you like the first part of this, the way this one works, you might be able to try the extension on it and see if it will take that and not add in that other verse. Or if you said, okay, well, I'm going to move verse 4 up to next to verse 3 because it thinks it needs 2 verses there, then it might correct it for you. And so at that point, you could say, all right, we're going to go after verse 2, make a correction for 3 and 4, and see how that works. But this is fantastic. I really love the additions they've made. I really like that it's able to pay a lot more attention to the prompts that you're using. And I like that it's very specific. A lot of these songs that got generated into this arena rock 80s style really fit well with that genre. Some of the later ones, as I was generating more and more, these started to sound a lot more 90s. Especially as I got into different beats per minute. Now, this is the other thing I wanted to hit on with you. I tried this after doing the 80s style rock. We said, okay, let's see if it's actually paying any attention to beats per minute, BPM, right? And this is the pace at which your song is going, and it seems to. It seems to be able to pay attention to this. So this one we got set at 120 beats per minute that I added to the 80s style rock, big drums, rock, and it seems to pay attention to this.
We'd leave the house at dawn, latchkey in our
So if we count this out by, if you take a stopwatch, 30 seconds, count out the number of beats in it, we're hitting right about 60 beats in 36. So within a minute, that's 120. So this one's hitting. Same thing with the 90. When I went to 90, so I wanted a big difference and see where we are at 90 beats per minute, see what it would do for that. But I don't know, it seems a little, this one seems a little fast. We're just taking it here. This is it. It's close. It's close. If it is able to pay attention to those details, then that's amazing. This is definitely a 90. Now this is feeling a lot more 90s or early 2000s than it is 80s style. So then the other prompts I started to use within this style of music were the actual terms for beats per minute. Now this is grouping these, right? So here, let's pull this note in. These are the different words used within sheet music for basically this pacing, right? Andante, Moderato, Allegro, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, you don't need me to tell you. So this is what's going to hit this. And these seem to work as well for getting into that range. So I just kind of screwed around with those. All right, walking pace. This is the 73 to 77 beats per minute. This sounds correct. All right, so then we did next one up. We did a higher speed. So this is the fast pace. And that's definitely it. So it seems to me like this is paying attention, which is fantastic. That is really exciting to see what this version will do now with paying attention to what you're wanting, the specifics on the style of music, the beats per minute, how you want to structure your song, it's doing so much better. So I'm really excited. Go out there, try something on Suno, screw around, let me know what you're finding or any issues that you're having to see if we can solve, because I think we solved a couple of them from what we were worried about on the last video, and I'd love to figure out how to make this the best tool we can have so that you can go out there and make some amazing music. Thanks for joining me. Subscribe and like and all that fun stuff, and see you on the next one.
Latch key in on our hand, like feral cats we wandered, feeding off the land. At school we ducked and covered to keep safe from the bomb. We skipped school when we wanted fake letters from our mom. We effed around and found out that no one really cared, so we kept the hardship to ourselves, cause no one's life is fair. This is the effing anthem of Generation X. F around and find out just what is coming next. Say hell has left us shaken, Columbia left us numb. Our parents left us to ourselves, our teachers thought us dumb. Big gulps, Batman and dirt bike jumps, no reruns on TV. Cold War, AIDS crisis, weather rocks, Aerosmith, Run DMC. We effed around and found out that no one really cared, so we kept the hardship to ourselves, cause no one's life is fair. This is the effing anthem of Generation X. F around and find out just what is coming next. With no seatbelts, riding in the back. Oh, the fires became our field guide, and we weren't coming back. Our heroes didn't age so well, now we've got graying hair. No, we're not a sociopath, it's just that we don't care. We asked around and found out that no one really cared, so we kept the hardship to ourselves, cause no one's life is fair. This is the effing anthem of Generation X. F around and find out just what is coming next. Our heroes didn't age so well, now we've got graying hair. No, we're not a sociopath, it's just that we don't care. We asked around and found out that no one really cared, so we kept the hardship to ourselves, cause no one's life is fair. This is the effing anthem of Generation X. F around and find out just what is coming next.